are back in. So I want to welcome Eyes, I want to welcome TSB, I want to welcome Flip, and I want to welcome Ikon. Thank you guys for coming through. I appreciate you guys, man.
You're welcome.
So we're gonna jump right into it. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're all good, man.
Yeah.
Fine, fantastic. We're gonna jump right into it. I think I want to start by understanding you guys, right? So most of the time, people hear of you guys on TV or hear on the radio or online, but people don't really know who they're dealing with. So I'm not going to ask you any of those cliche questions like where did you grow up, which school did you go to, before some of you log off. What I'll do instead, I will basically focus on what makes you different, what makes you your own thing, your own producer. So we're gonna have a lot of people watch this video and they'll be thinking, I'd like to be like Eyes, I'd like to be like Icon, I'd like to be like TSB, I'd like to be like Flip. But I'll start with Eyes. Um, what what was that moment where it felt like production was for you? Was it like a spiritual thing, or was it like training, or was it you just deciding this is what I want to do?
Well, like my background, I'm from, grew up, yeah.
All right, I can't hear him. I didn't hear him, but anyway, so a lot of people started from church. Flip, was it the same for you? Was it what led you here?
I think it was just out of curiosity. Um, Having, as a teenager, I just feel like I could do anything. Actually, I was so curious that I started using the music production software on my own. I think it was 2003. I just got Fruity Loop 3 out of curiosity. Then we can see I struck passion out of curiosity, and I fell in love. It was an accidental kind of a thing. I have a brother who he loves game a lot. Then, back then we used to get music on CD, and in that CD he downloaded the music production software. Then out of curiosity, that led me to it.
Curiosity. Um, yes, I should mute myself when we're talking. Um, so TSB, what was it for you? And what changed for you that made you feel like this is what I want to do?
Like I grew up in church. I never actually played in church, but I just always used to watch, and I think that's where my curiosity to like teach myself how to play piano came and things like that. My older brother's a producer, so I always used to just see him working, and I think when I was finishing secondary school, that's when my curiosity, I guess, developed even more. I downloaded Fruity Loops for myself, and I started working, just trying ideas out, trying things out. Um, so I did that for years. I never studied music. Um, I went to university. I studied business management and entrepreneurship. So I've never studied music, but um, I guess it was just something I fell in love with, something that I always knew I wanted to do. Um, then eventually I actually stopped. I stopped making music 3 years ago. I quit, but nobody knew that I quit because I didn't really publicize it, but I was done. And then I guess in finding myself and finding my faith again, God told me that this is actually what I was supposed to do and that this was what I was destined to do. So that's what led me back to music, I guess. So yeah, that's my journey into music and where I'm at now.
Dope. So Icon, I want to switch the question with you. Um, how important is mentorship in production, in music production? Is it necessary? Should people just go and learn? Just go get down the app and learn, or is it something? Is it relevant for producers?
I think it can be a huge bonus if you have a mentor in anything, in life in general. But what's more important than that is to have the passion and interest. So mentorship can go a long way because, if I had somebody who would direct me on what to do and the kind of things that I would face in this, profession of being a music producer, it would definitely, cut some corners and help me out. And, I think my progression may have been quicker, but it's not such a bad thing to have the passion and experience, on your own to fail in the areas that you do, and it'll help guide you to where, I guess, where you're meant to, where you're stronger in, be it instrumental playing, programming, sequencing, and all these things. So mentorship is great, but it's not the be all or end all.
Flip, I think we're getting some feedback from your end, so we had to mute you. So sorry about that. So please remember to unmute yourself when.
Let me check. Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. All right. But you can mute now. So I'll come back to you. To start with TSB for this one. How many different softwares do you use? Or is there one that you use, or do you use many, and which do you prefer?
Okay, so in terms of the software I use, the two DAWs that I use now primarily is Fruity Loops and so FL Studio, I think they call it now, and Logic X. I prefer them both for different reasons. For me personally, I grew up on Fruity Loops, so I used to build my whole beats and everything there, the whole track, I'll build it in there. Then for a short amount of time, I moved over to Pro Tools. I learned how to record in Pro Tools at first when me and my brother had our own studio. And then after that, I kind of just moved over to Logic. I was making everything on Logic for a while. And then I guess during lockdown, when COVID hit, is when I went back to using FL Studio, but primarily just for my drums. So depending on how I'm starting the track, I might start with a melody in Logic, and then I'll open Fruity Loops, and then I'll just do my drums there, and I'll just work back and forth. But yeah, those are the two main softwares that I use, Fruity Loops and Logic.
Okay. So I think I would ask for the rest of the guys to tell me which one they prefer and why. This is because we have some producer people here, and I'm sure they'll probably be wondering, why should I use that? Let's say we're making a case for our favorite platform or favorite tool. Why would you guys, which do you use, which do you prefer, and why do you prefer that? I'll start with Ikon.
So I use the reason I use Reason is when I was using Fruity Loops back maybe 20 years ago, the sound bank wasn't extensive. So I found myself using the same kicks over and over and over again, the same snares over and over again. When I came across Reason, the sound bank was like really extensive. It had orchestral sound banks, and it was just really extensive. And I've stayed with that for the longest time. I still use Fruity Loops from time to time. I still use Logic from time to time and Ableton, but because I've stayed longer with Reason, that is what I use. Did you guys hear anything that I said?
Yeah, we got that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I heard everything. Yeah.
We heard
Logic.
you.
Okay.
So I think I'll let so I don't keep talking. I'll let let Eyes answer that question, and then I'll let Flip answer it last. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, cool.
I use FL Studios primarily. Like, I used to use Logic. I still use Logic to record my vocals, but in terms of like the sonic of the DAW, I feel like every DAW has a different sonic, a different like output sound, and I just feel like Fruity Loops is the warmest. It gives me the correct amount of low end that I need for my drums and my basses and my 808s. Then it gives me a good enough high end for my melodic stuff or my percussion, and yeah, it just allows me to balance my beats well. But like, I still use Ableton a lot to like manipulate audio because I'm heavy on sampling. So I like make samples in Ableton, then bring it over to Fruity Loops, and I record my vocals in Logic, and then I'll bring it back to Fruity Loops as like one stem, and I'll just work from there.
All right. Regarding DAW, they call it Digital Audio Workstation. Personally, I enjoy Fruity Loop because 10,000 hours rule. If you spend 10,000 hours on a particular DAW, automatically that translates to your favorite. So, but however, any DAW can do anything. They are all equally good. As it depends on how to use them. If you know how to master them very well, you'll be surprised what you can achieve with them. So I do my beat in Fruity Loops because of the workflow. You can literally make a beat in 5 minutes. I'm sure the guys here can test to that. You can make beat in 10 minutes. The pattern, the drum pattern is so easy. Up until a few years ago, many other DAW they didn't have the same sequence pattern of FL Studio. But right now, I think Logic introduced that 2 years ago and enabled into drum rack. So, but for me, I make my beat in FL Studio because up to today, even though I use Ableton Live, but I tend to waste a lot of time on Ableton. So I make my beat so quick on FL Studio, then I migrate to Logic. That's where I handle all my vocals, my mixing. If I need to do additional if I need to play additional instrument on Logic, I can still do that. But majorly, I use FL Studio because of the workflow for me. It's quick.
Fantastic. So yeah, we've heard Reason, Logic, Pro Tools. You guys, please run the check for our producers, please. Thank you very much. Now, I wanted to ask your personal preference. Producing music with a writer in the studio, that's option one, with the writer, and then you can find whoever will record, or producing music with the writer and the artist, or producing your music and giving it to the artist, or having the artist send you voice notes and then producing. Which do you prefer? Because I've met a lot of producers that would say, I don't really like people in my studio. I've met artists that have said that, producers have said that. I've met producers that have said, I feel like I can't get a good vibe until I have like the whole team and everybody contributing. The reason why I'm asking this is a lot of young producers are not sure if they're crazy, if there's one way to do it, or if they're doing it wrong. So what are your respective preferences? I'll start with Eyes on this one.
Personally, it depends on the type of artist, innit? So like, if it's a rapper, I'd probably prefer to just send the beat because rappers like to take time writing their bars, writing their rhymes, and then getting it tight, and then they can come back to the studio and record when they finish writing. That's what I found works a lot. If it's a vocal like singer, I'd probably prefer to be with a writer and an artist if the artist is not a writer themselves. And then yeah, just vibe on there in the room and get a vibe from them. But it literally depends on what kind of music they make.
Fantastic. Ikon?
Yeah, I think I agree with Eyes. It's a similar process for me, but it also is at different stages of the production process. The things would change. So in the beginning, when I'm producing, I'd rather be by myself or in my comfort zone, thinking, formulating this idea. when it gets to the point to, I guess, write the song and create melodies, then I can introduce the writer or the singer. A lot of times in the process of making music, it's, that formulating that idea, it can take a long time. And, a producer can spend 5 minutes in the studio, like Flip was saying, making a drum beat, or you can spend a year trying to, get this idea out of your head. So it does take time, and it's in different stages of the process. So I've had beats that I've made from 10 years ago that an artist comes into the studio and in 5 minutes he's recorded it, he's made it a hit. But it doesn't mean that we did it in the studio just then. I made the beat 10 years ago. It took me like 6 years or so to complete the process. You see what I mean? So it depends on which stage of the process it is. For any young producer out there that's making beats, the rules change every day, which means there are no rules. So if you're making beats on your phone, you literally your beats can be the next hit. You don't have to jump into the studio and get the writer and producer all at the same time and the instrumental at the same time and eureka. It does not have to be that at all. It can be that. It can be, or it can be just you on your phone or in your room on your laptop making a beat for 10 minutes or a year. So it depends on what stage of the process.
Fantastic. TSB?
Yeah, I think I agree with what everyone said so far. Um, for me personally, I prefer creating from scratch in the room with the artist. Um, I just enjoy it more. I think as a producer, sometimes your job is to be the leader, and other times your job is to be the vessel for the artist. So I think it depends on what role you're trying to play. Um, there's going to be artists that you've built chemistry with, and I think with those artists you're likely to be in the room with them building from scratch. Or sometimes if you just know that artist, you can make a beat for them and just send it over because you kind of know what they're into, what their influence is, what they like. So I think it always varies, that there are no rules to this. You can literally, I think the best advice would be to practice every single one of the possible options. See what you prefer, but at the end of the day, every single artist you work with, everyone you come across in music is going to be different. So I think it'd probably be better to get used to working in all those type of formats, and then maybe like obviously having your favorite, the thing that you feel like you're most productive doing. I know some producers that they can't work in the room with the artist. Maybe they feel like they're too under pressure, and they don't really thrive under that. But I feel like when you're trying to build something new and you're trying to create for the artist, sometimes if you're just making beats before, um, they might not take to them. It doesn't mean the beats aren't good, but it's just not what they want today. I always give this analogy of like, you can be a chef, right? And you've decided that today I'm gonna cook pounded jam, for example, but I want to come to the studio and I want to eat eba today. So it doesn't matter how good that pounded jam tastes, it's not what I want. So it's not going to be used. It might be useful elsewhere, but for the purpose of that session, it's not useful. So sometimes I think it's better to understand who you're working with. I said it as well. With some rappers, you can build with them in the studio, but at the end of the day, it might take them forever to write that song. And you don't really just want to sit there and watch them write. And sometimes you do, again, depending on the relationship and what you're trying to build, the chemistry you have. But sometimes these guys, they want to write in isolation. They need to experience something in order to have something to talk about. So yeah, I would say explore every single avenue, find what works for you best. But for me personally, I enjoy being in the room with the creatives. I just prefer it.
Flip something quickly, and then we'll move to the next stage of the questions that I want.
All right. Personally, I enjoy making the beat. Then, because I write, I sing as well. I prefer writing to the beat on my own, and then, but that's majority of my work. That's how I do it. I'm done with everything, then I pitch it to my artists, and they love it. They record, they send me back the vocals, and this is what COVID, introduced, virtual, working virtually. Because, and going forward, I think this is what we're going to be seeing, because now I know Yemi Alade now she can record herself. So literally, there are about 2 songs that I did. All I did was send her the instrumental, then she recorded and sent it back to me. Then I could complete the remaining part of the process. But there is also a place for collaboration. They say teamwork makes the dream work. You now see artists, producers, they're having writing camp now, so that they can get together and all of that. That's equally good as well. But most importantly, if you can understand the brief, like I think Ikon was saying it, understand what this particular artist wants. If you can find out what they want enough, like take your time to understand the brief, then it becomes easy to go on your own and create just like the way they want it. So it works both ways. There is a time I want to be on my own and work. Then there is a time I want to get in the studio with you. That's how it works for me.
Fantastic. Now we're going to move straight in now, because I wanted to have a feel or an idea of how you guys work individually. As I said, I wasn't going to ask you about your university or school or any of that. I wanted to know you. If somebody's trying to work with TSB or work with Eyes or work with Flip or work with Ikon, I wanted people to understand what you are about. But also now I think we need to jump into the actual recording process. And I've met a lot of producers and a lot of young recording artists who have no idea what they're doing. And obviously, when you start, you don't know a lot of stuff. But we can help them solve some problems today, right? So I want to ask you guys, and I'm going to start with Flip. What are those mistakes that artists make either before or during a recording session, when they're recording music, that makes it difficult for you to actually get proper vocals, or make it difficult for you to actually get the best out of them? What are those habits or those things that they do? I know all of us have different experiences, but I wanted to hear what you guys are dealing with artists. As an artist, I'm coming to you.
Yeah, I mean,
what is it you would give me to say, don't do that?
All right. As an artist, there are a lot of mistakes artists make and all that, but with the common would be, the most common one is creative freedom. There's a place for creative freedom. When it comes to, I'm sure the guys can attest to that as well. A producer want to create. A producer want to create. They are called producer. You understand? There's a place for influence where artists can influence the direction of the flow. But most time, producers usually, they begin with the end in mind. They already know what they want. So most time artists, they interfere with that creative flow, and then it affects the process for producers. So most I've seen artists, they say, oh, do this, do that, do that, do that. At the end of the day, they mess up the whole creative flow. So I feel like mistake that most artists make, especially in this part of the world, is they don't give the producer creative freedom. That's one mistake. Then second mistake is they reference a lot. Oh, I want that kind of sound. And one thing I know, music, like somebody also said that there are no rules there. For the fact that it works this way, I'm not saying that you shouldn't reference the kind of mix, but they don't know that they are God themselves. They are creative God. They can create something different. Like for example, now look at the issue with the case of Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson. Up to today, if you listen to Thriller, I don't know, maybe that Thriller song, that particular violin sound, at the point Michael Jackson said, I don't want that. Michael said, I don't want that. And up to today, if you listen to that song, that sound, that's what made Thriller. So that's one mistake, not to take more of your time, that I know artists make in the studio. And I hope I answer your question correctly.
Okay, so Eyes?
I'd say one mistake artists make is not finishing ideas, not carrying it through to the end. I think like you have to give every idea the full opportunity to flourish and like be birthed, even if like you're not sure about it, like the artist I'm talking about, or even the producer or whatever. Like always give the song or the idea room to grow, and then make your decision once you're done with it. I always believe in finishing every idea or every song and then seeing what, because the things that we like isn't necessarily what's the best. Like at the end of the day, we are service providers to the public, innit? So they dictate what is pop music or whatever it is. So like you just gotta give them options to mess with. So like yeah, always carry that idea to the end and don't doubt yourself. Like self-doubt is the biggest blockade, I think, for even as us as producers. Like you make an idea, you doubt it, all of those kind of things, they're like blocks to greatness. And so yeah, I'd say like self-doubt and not carrying through your ideas.
TSB.
Yeah. I say for me, in the recording process, I don't mind the artist being opinionated at times, although it can be frustrating sometimes. I think it depends on the artist's level of artistry to a degree, like what they know. I don't think it's right to back someone's ideas down because I believe that the best music is made when the chemistry is correct and your ideas are kind of flowing with each other and you're on the same wavelength. So I just think that sometimes it's just simple things like studio etiquette, how artists are actually in the room, those kind of things, how professional they are, how serious they take it. That can take away from the recording process, the creative process. Just the small things. I think music is so fast paced now that artists don't have to go through the same development that they once went through maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. um so it's a lot quicker and easier for someone to have one record out and then make a name for themselves, and then everybody wants to work with them and this or that. So it's like they've missed out on a lot of groundwork, things that they've missed out on, a lot of foundational things in which they should have learned. Even basic things like sometimes when the rapper's rapping and he's got his chains on, it's just making noise in the microphone. And I gotta be like, oh, yo, you need to take this off or whatever, because that's gonna affect the recording. It could be the rapper and he's got all these friends in the background and they don't realize it's time to shut up and listen to their friend spraying the bars and stay quiet because the song isn't featuring 10 of them. It's one person's song, you know what I mean? So it's just decorum, etiquette, and I think just studying the game more. Like the people, I always try to look at the people I look up to in music. How did they act and why did they act like they acted? And that's a part of their success. A lot of people are where they are because of how they behave. Like talent is a part of it, but how you carry yourself, it takes you so far. So I think that's where maybe artists go wrong sometimes, and make things a bit more difficult. Um, I think I agree with Eyes in saying that it'd be good to finish ideas to the end, but I feel like sometimes a lot of these people in general have a short attention span. Um, so it's very difficult to follow through on that, but I agree with it because some of the best ideas are the ideas or the songs that you didn't even want to finish or the songs you didn't want to release can end up being the song that does the most numbers for you, changes your situation or whatever it is. So I think the thing that stops artists the most is lack of open-mindedness and like maybe ignorance to a degree and not being willing to take risks. I think those are the important things that can make life easier if they knew better, should I say.
All right, that's dope. Icon, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. Flip said one thing that resonated. A lot of artists may not recognize that producers most times are prepared and think of the end in mind. We always think about the outcome a lot of times when we're trying to create. So there are a lot of processes that an artist, tries to, what's the word? They try to take control of, and they don't trust that the producer, has that in mind or has that covered. So that's one thing that just resonated a little bit. But also what TSB said about etiquette. Now, a producer, like myself, I'm in the studio, you book a session with me, you want to record or do something. I am prepared and waiting for you. Prepared being the the main thing here. It'll be nice if you're an artist watching this and you are setting up to record or go to a studio and record or produce or whatever. It'd be nice for you to learn what you are coming to do in the studio. TSB said a rapper gets on the studio and is rapping and his chains, the sound is getting into. If you Google recording artist, how to be a recording artist, I'm sure there's articles. If you Google how to record in a studio, there are articles. If you Google how to record, if you're a singer on a microphone, it's there. The information is there. It's very simple. If you decide to be an artist, a recording artist, the information is there. When you come into the studio, it's time to be creative. So not time to be figuring out how to be creative. You see what I mean? If an artist comes to the studio and then starts to say, okay, so and starts to sing loud in the microphone, and the producer says, oh, can you step back a little bit because you're projecting and it's peaking on the microphone, and the artist is like, huh? You see what I mean? The artist is like, I don't understand. It'll be helpful for artists to be prepared, and the information is out there. Google it, how to record better. Flip, you said something about Yemi Alade recording herself. Literally every artist that I've worked with, I have encouraged them, I've sent them videos, learn to record yourself. Because when you are in your comfort zone recording on your phone, even the delivery, there's no pressure there. You're just, it's usually the flow of creativity. It's usually just great. When you get into the studio and there are people there, the producer is there, or you're in a booth, some sort of pressure can come and you won't deliver well. But if you're at home and even if you've practiced on your phone enough times the delivery, by the time you get into the studio, there's some confidence there, that's, would cut the time in half when it comes to your studio session and somehow just make the product better. So, the main things, being prepared, studio etiquette, and somehow just trusting that the producer that you're working with knows something. So those few things, yeah.
Fantastic. So the next line of questions I'll throw to two of you, and then I'll throw new questions to another two, just so we can get through. We have a lot of questions to go through. So we've talked about the artist. I want to talk about the producer. As a young, upcoming producer, what are the things that I should not do, or the things I should develop as a producer to say, look, I'm going into this business. These are things I need to start putting in place. Because, I know that for most of us, we have to grow and learn, but part of the process of education is to not necessarily skip a few steps, but to understand those steps better, so we don't end up wasting too much time. So I'm going to go with, for this question, Eyes and Flip. What are those things you would advise producers to do, or the things you would advise them not to do starting up a career in the music industry as a music producer?
What would I advise you to do? Well, there's no right way to enter this business, innit? Like we're in 2022 and we're seeing like the rise of the YouTube beat maker. So that's a great avenue to enter. Because these guys are making mad amounts of money on BeatStars and whatever. So that's a good avenue to enter the business. There's also the classic producer, the session producer, where you get in with them and you create songs with them and you build a sonic with them. That is also a good way to get in. But I think you just have to find out what works for you. Because if you're more of an introvert, I'd say probably a YouTube and not being around people avenue would probably work better for you, and you can generate income from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to, your outgoings are low. But like if you're a session producer, like over here, especially in London, you have to upfront the cost of a studio monthly. You're often hosting sessions for free, you're working pro bono. more time the songs don't come out, so you're just taking a lot of L's. So I'll just say like be wise about how you're working and just try to do it at the most affordable way for you. Like buy equipment that you can afford, that you can sustain, but that's also good quality. Invest in yourself. But yeah, that's about it. Just like, yeah, just find the right avenue for you. Like if you're just study your personality before going out into the world and trying to mingle.
All right.
Flip.
Okay. All right. To an upcoming producer, establish whatever stage you are. One thing I would advise is constant and never-ending improvement, because that's actually what is happening now. Things changes every day. If you are going to be a successful music producer in 2022, you need to put. In fact, let me say that I think it's called CANI, CANI, constant and never-ending improvement, because the type of plugins that are coming out every day, because music is digital now. We all use these softwares, these plugins every day. There comes a time that you get overwhelmed, that you don't even know when this one comes out. And the funniest thing is that these plugins, they are solving a problem. They are solving different problems. And if you really don't want to be overwhelmed, you need to constantly go on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube and all these other platforms like Instagram, TikTok. You see all these 1 minute videos that they are doing on tips on how to do stuff, and they really work. And make sure you are every month, because things actually happen every month now. Every month they happen. Then number two is that be open to be teachable. Really produce entertainers generally, we get to be too cocky. We feel like, oh, we are big, we are talented, and really talent is not everything. Talent can take you to, I mean, your skill can take you to where you are, but your talent will even take you further. I mean, your ability to be humble, to be able to learn new things will take you further. You understand? So I feel like be open to learn. Don't even though someone that you are teaching today, make sure the person can teach you tomorrow. Like I've raised a lot of producers, like hundreds of them, and up to today, some of them are studying in UK right now. When I see them do stuff, I ask like, oh, what's that plugin? What does it do? Can you quickly teach me that? You should be able to learn from one another, because that's one thing I know in this music production industry. Make sure you are teachable. Make sure you are willing to learn and welcome new ideas. That's how you grow as a music producer. Then number three is don't always want to get everything for free, like, because I know the situation of things around here. Everybody want to get this software free, everything you want to get it free. But trust me, there are some softwares that you have to pay for. And then I encourage you to pay for all your softwares. But there are some tools, creative tools that you need to get. Like for example, December last year, I got a vocal preset, and I bought it, and it cost me some money. But do you know, till today, it changed the level of my mixing forever. I got to pay for it. I paid for that. Then there are some gadgets, some setup you need to pay for. I know start where you are. Men are in sizes and life is in stages. But as you progress, always upgrade your equipment, because people really think, no, I can actually use that mic. It's the same thing. I can use that audio interface. It's the same thing. I can use that laptop. It's the same thing. Like I had to change my laptop. Now I got the latest laptop. Sometimes, I mean, the one that came out last year, and it cost me a lot of money. But trust me, if I click, it moves immediately. It depends on the result you want, and trust me, everybody wants great result. So never compromise standard, never compromise. Don't do mediocre stuff. Make sure you go for the best, because that's how you grow. That's how you grow. Because these days, we work like most of my majority of my customers are outside, and we want to do something quick. We want to email that quick. We want to do that quick. Sometimes we want to go virtually. People don't even know there are platforms that you can actually work in real time. So you need to constantly upgrade. Those are the three things. Like to crown it off: constant and never-ending improvement. Number two, improve on your craft and on your setups. Then be teachable, be open to learn new ideas, and collaborate with others.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So I want to talk to you guys. I want you guys to sort of think about this next question as an opportunity to mentor young guys, right? So in like as quick as you can, I'm going to start with Ikon, then I'll go to TSB, and then I'll go to Eyes, and then Flip, right? So what is your creative process? A typical recording session with Ikon or TSB or Eyes or Flip, what is it like? So just quickly, just say, okay, typical. I mean, no, artists differ, but what you would prefer. A typical, like a great recording session for you, what is the process?
Okay. Say I was recording you now, Godwin. Before you get to the studio, you book a session. Before you get to the studio, you tell me what you're coming to do. You send me the song you're coming to sing, and we just have some banter about what we are coming to the studio to do. As soon as you get into the studio, I still record in a recording booth. But before you record, I play the music out loud, and you record it right next to me on your microphone, on the microphone out here, just so that you can get comfortable recording before you get into the booth, and maybe nerves might kick in, and and the sound that comes out when you're performing or recording with music coming out, it's kind of different from when you're recording with headphones and music going directly into your ears. So I like to record you out in the open, and just for you to get comfortable while you're recording, that I'm having a conversation with you, like, why are you singing this part like this? Maybe we should do this like this. What I'm basically doing is opening the platform to communicate freely between myself and the artist, so that we can just trust each other during the process. So by the time you're recording your real takes, we can communicate. I can say that was whack, and you won't feel, like I am trying to. You won't take it personally. You would just feel like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Let me do it again. You know what I mean? So yeah. So by the time you're done with that, you get into the booth, and we begin recording. So the main thing for me is to build that line of communication that makes it comfortable for both the producer and the artist. Yeah.
I think for me, um, standard studio session or studio session that I prefer, something that I'd like. Now, all my sessions I'll start by praying first, just so that I know that God's gonna allow me to make something good, or that we're gonna get something amazing out of the session, whether that's artist wise, production wise, whatever it is. I think after I do that, I've pretty much guaranteed a good song on the day. Um, I think the process is always different. Sometimes you're gonna play people beats, they're gonna take a beat, they're gonna like it. Other times you're gonna create from scratch. That I'm indifferent about. I prefer either. In fact, if I'm honest, I probably prefer creating from scratch if we're all in the room together. Unless I'm tired, if I'm honest, and you're just taking a beat and it's gonna be a good song, but in a sense, quick and easy. Um, it would be nice to know what people are coming to the studio to do, but um, inspiration comes at different times in different ways. You could come to the studio to do one thing and then you end up wanting to do something else. If we're on the same page, then I can facilitate for that new idea. If we're not on the same page, then it's likely that I can't facilitate that new idea. Um, but yeah, it really, really just depends. There's got to be a good element of banter. Um, I've got to enjoy your presence. For me, I can't just work. I can't be in the studio with someone. It's rare, should I say, for me to be in the studio with someone that I don't think I'll get along with as a person or like as a person. I think when you get along with people, the music you create with them tends to be better naturally because you actually enjoy being around that person. So you can tolerate a lot more. And I think that's important. Sometimes you could be having a drink together. Sometimes you could be having food together. I feel like it's good to kind of, before you get cracking and get straight down to work, have that icebreaker or that catch up, get talking, just so that the energies are right. You know what I mean? So that people are feeling good, so that people are feeling open. I think sometimes a lot of the best songs come when the artist is open enough to be vulnerable enough to say or write whatever they want to write on the track. But in order to get them to that place, sometimes that requires conversation and, you know what I mean, building that relationship if it's not already there. So yeah, ideally, just getting in the studio, making sure the vibe is correct, and then going from there, man. You never know what's gonna happen from there. So yeah.
Dope. Ice?
Me, like, since you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. You just I kind of start a session by just ice breaking, finding out what the vibes are of the artist, finding out where their heads are at the moment. Are they going through a breakup? Are they happily in love? Are they struggling with grief? Are they, I don't know, did they just sign a deal and they got loads of money and their life has changed? I feel like all of those external factors do play a big part in what is about to happen in the studio. So I think finding out that makes good for facilitating the kind of vibe that they want to make, and just listening to them really, because like if they're the artist, I reckon, well, I don't reckon, I know that they're gonna release what they like and what they wanna make in it. So like as much as we are creatives as well, we're also a service provider. So we kind of just gotta facilitate whatever they want to do in our way, essentially. Like, so they have to bring the best out of you and you have to bring the best out of them. So yeah, just and then yeah, I often do make the beat in the session. I don't really make beats outside of sessions because I don't know, I find it hard to get inspired when no one's in a room with me. So like I do make a lot of beats inside the session, and then after that I'll go home, build it. Then we can go back and forth from there. So yeah, usually it starts with me making a beat on the spot, and then hopefully we get some melodies down, some ideas down. So they go into the booth or wherever we're recording, they get they get ideas down. Then we can build on ideas. They can write by themselves. We can write with them. Or if there's a writer, we can all collaborate on making a good idea. But I am big on the collaboration because no man is an island, no man knows everything in it. And like what you might like for me personally, I love music with no lyrics. I love like jazz music and all that type of stuff. So like that influence does come into my production a lot, but sometimes the person just needs a 2-bit easy basic triad chord structure. And yeah, so it's just about knowing when and where to apply your tools inside the session. Then I record in Logic. If they've written, we record the idea, we get down as much as we can, and then yeah, call it a day from there, and then pick it up next time. But yeah, that's usually the recording process for me.
Fantastic. Flip?
Yeah. My creative process is similar, and another way different. Like I take time. They say clarity is power. Understanding the brief. Like I ask you as an artist, if you want to work with me, what's your major objective with this song? Where do you want to go with this song? What are you trying to achieve with this song? Then when I can get that brief, when it's clear, then I get to work on my own. I started creating, and then I more or less I'm project management. I try to get in touch with you immediately on WhatsApp, or we get on a Zoom call. So this is what I've done so far. You give me your feedback. Then these days, I tell you when I make the beat to a certain stage. If I'm not the one writing on the song, if we are collaborating together, because most times I like to collaborate in terms of melody, vocal assistance and all that. Then I tell you, try and record something on your WhatsApp. Put your headphone on, record, because now these days most of these mobile phones, the microphone is very good. So record. Let me see what it is that you've done, so that we don't waste time in the studio the very first day. Like Ikon was saying, that almost all the artists that he knows, they now record themselves. So I try to go along with you on that route. Record something. Let me hear what you've done. Then I take it back. I see what I can introduce into the production to complement what you've done. Then if we are going to meet, then I like to assist artists in terms of their vocal direction. Okay, can you do it like that? I help them harmonize as well, because I realize that most artists, they don't really know how to sing all the parts. So I help them sing the alto, the tenor, all of the backups and all that. Then these days I noticed that vocals samples are very powerful, and samples generally. So I try to introduce samples. Like I use this software a lot, Arcade. I think a lot of people should subscribe. It's $10 a month. because something about good vocals, it catches our attentions a lot. So, and our kids, endless vocal samples on that software that you can literally find any topic, any vocal phrase that sits well with the production. So I try to introduce that as well, just to then I like to have a particular song, the quality, the standard in mind. That helped me, even though if my standard is not up high, but because I've already put myself up there, like the target is up there, so it helps me as well to achieve a quality end product at the end of the day.
So that's dope. I think the essence of that question is to tell the young producers, the young guys coming out now, don't get stuck trying to force a process, right? Do what works for you. There's no specific rule how this is done. So don't get stuck trying to get it done this particular way. Allow yourself grow. The other thing I wanted to ask, I want to just talk about money, right? But before we talk about money, I want us to talk about our teams. Different people have different types of teams that they work with. I know a producer who only has a lawyer. I know a producer who only has a manager. I know a producer that has both. What is your team made up of right now? Like, what was it made up of when you started, and what is it made up of right now, and what's the difference? What do you prefer? What works for you? We're going to start with TSB.
I think it's important to have a solid team behind you. I think I said it for the previous question that no man's an island, but that saying means a lot of different things in different contexts. I think when it comes to music, your primary focus should be on being creative and being free to be as creative as possible. And I come from a business background. Like I said earlier, I did business. I studied business in uni. I was in business, and I feel like when you're too business orientated, it can remove the fun and the enjoyment from the process of creating and the freedom of creating. You might be thinking of the money too much, thinking of this too much, thinking of that too much, and it doesn't actually allow you to be as creative as you ought to be. I don't think you should create based on finance either. I think when you're creating for finance, it only works well when you're in the gutter, really, and you haven't ever really made money, or when you're comfortable enough to realize you still need to work hard and create from a place of freedom. I think those are the two places when money can determine how you create in a positive way. But in terms of my team, I've got a day-to-day manager. I've got someone who looks after the finances, all my finances. So when it comes to invoicing and all of that kind of stuff, there's someone that I will speak to, asking them, "Oh, has this been paid yet?" Blah 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 blah. I've got my lawyer, I've got my accountant, and then I've got the overall umbrella of the management company as well. Who, when I'm having meetings, I'll sit down with all of them. But then on a day-to-day, it's my day-to-day manager that I'm talking to, speaking about sessions with. But I've got a relationship with all of them, so I can speak to any one of them if need be. And I think it's good, it's important. When I first started out, I was fortunate to have a manager quite early, because the manager I had also managed my older brother. So I think she just felt like she inherited gold twice. So it was nice for her. It was okay, let me take him, I'll take the little one as well. And then eventually I had to find my own feet, find my own journey, realize when things made sense for me and when they didn't. It's important to have managers that understand you as a person. That's really, really important. And I think that gets overlooked sometimes. And I think sometimes people think that they need management, but they actually just need to know how to look after themselves. I think management should never come premature. I don't think anything should come premature. Everything should come at the right time. Shouldn't come before it's needed or whatever. Something comes premature, it's not gonna be of benefit to you, or you won't know how to value it. So I believe that everything should come at the right time. Management's a great thing to have. They also act as a protector. They're a protective barrier. um, essentially they can be the bad guy for you. You don't need to have certain conversations. That's for management to have. You shouldn't be discussing finance with someone. That's for management to discuss. Because as a producer, when you're building relationships with artists, it's easy for them to do this. Oh, come on, bro, anything for your brother. Before you know it, you're getting paid half of your fee because you're trying to build this relationship. And if you are gonna do something like that, then there should still be, if you're not gonna benefit from something in a monetary way, then whatever the benefit that you're not gonna get in a monetary way, it should balance what you're not making financially. There should always be some type of balance, and things should always be fair. And I think management do a good job of good managers, should I say, good managers. Don't think any manager is good because they're not. But a good manager will do the job of um, protecting you and having your best interests at heart. And sometimes your best interests um, are not even always the things that you think they are. The same way God says that we have our own plans, but like He knows what's best for us, is the same way to a degree your management can see things, because everybody looks at things from different perspective. We're always looking at things through our own lenses, and sometimes our lenses are fixed on one thing. We can't see around the corner. We can't see what um, other people are seeing. So it's very important to I guess build that relationship when you get the opportunity to have management, and understand each other as people and as creatives. Understand your roles, know your roles, and I think from there, um, it's a lot easier and smoother to move forward. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
So I tend to I tend to I tend to just do majority of the work because actually, okay, let me confess. If the money is right, then I'm interested in getting into a room with you. Okay, I think that resonates with Icon.
Yeah.
If you're paying me so much, like I'm cool with the cash, then I want to get in the studio with you.
You guys,
No,
man, I love some money, man.
no, it's true because let me tell you something, right? I mean, I'm sure we've all done this. For years, I say, I select who I work with. Yes, which is dope because I have the luxury to. Um, but sometimes when it's like 5 times the bag and the guy is whack, I have to humble myself and say, okay, this is now I have to teach. It's not just production, it's teaching. You know what I mean? I have to teach you. Like, come, let me take you under my wing and make you understand what's really going on. Yeah, man, because like
That's
like
fun.
like you're saying, eyes, we're service providers. That
Yeah.
is like
Sometimes you're just doing. Sometimes you're working to keep. There's a difference between doing a passion project and
And yeah,
something lights on.
yeah,
So as long as you can, like, passion projects don't always make money.
they
Number
don't
one,
no
they
money.
don't. Do you know what I mean? You could have a friend that's an amazing singer, and she just ain't gonna make no money in this game, but she can really sing, and you enjoy making music with her because it's quality music. And then there's passion projects that after a year, 2 years, 3 years, they pop off, and then that could bring you life changing money or something. And
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
you need to keep the lights on. This is your profession. Like as I was saying earlier, in this country, like I've got my own studio. I have to pay rent for my studio. I pay that up front. So like you said, we're working on pro bono. We're working in faith. There's no guarantee that all of this money that we're spending on the studio, spending on equipment, we're
Plugin.
actually gonna see it back. Buying plugins, all my plugins right now, pretty much, I think 9 out of 10 of them are legit. When I'm
yeah,
buying equipment, when I'm buying new laptops, when I'm doing this off the money that I've earned off music, in faith that I'm
yeah,
gonna make money back off music that's gonna allow me to invest again and do other things. Like, I'm great. I guess we're all grateful to be in positions where we're pretty much living off music, which in itself is a crazy blessing when you actually really think about it. So yeah, like um it's not to say you don't have integrity, but sometimes you need to keep the lights on. If someone's gonna come and pay you in excess of what your fee usually is for a track, you have to remember that first things first, they're doing it because of your level. You're
exactly.
able to command that fee because of your level, because of what you've done for others. And that person believes that, do you know what? If I paid this person X amount of money, they can push me, or I can ascend because I'm creating with that person, and that's respect in itself. So based on that, I'm likely to take the money. Until God blesses me where I don't even need to take that money, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, but on the side note, I also something I also noticed that works well for me in the production business. Yeah, I feel like I encourage producers to have a side also. You know, like multiple streams of income. You know, now thank God to this day now we can. There are a lot of services we can offer right from our laptop. You know, like producers are now learning this, learning that, and because I feel like most times what really affects a lot of producers when they're just coming up is when they are desperate for survival, they take shit, they take rubbish, they endure what they're not supposed to do. But I feel like you have the capacity to control the quality of your work and quality of people you work with when you're good. Like when you're good, you don't necessarily you're not hungry. You know, you don't you are not forceful about it. Like so, I encourage our producers to develop themselves into the extent that they can do so many things. They have a side also. You know, it helps a lot, and it doesn't have to be a physical work. You know, it could be something you can do right from your computer. Then when you are financially free to an extent, you control the quality of people that just you are not desperate. You know, for survival.
Mm-hmm. Godwin was saying something about publishing.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I know this is an area that I personally, for a very long time, I had no real understanding
How
of
it
what
works.
of how it works and the bags available that are tied to this concept. So he was saying, when it comes to publishing, if it's something that's, maybe Eyes, you had any, information for anybody, any producer who's up and coming concerning this topic.
My only advice would be like know what you're entitled to. So for example, I'm just gonna go on basic splits. You produced a record by yourself, no samples included, and it's just you and the artist that worked on the song. You're entitled to 50% of the publishing, regardless, flat line.
Sure.
You're entitled to 50%. Okay, now you've co-produced with another producer. So now that percentage is now split between the 50% that he was now entitled to has gone down to 25% because there's two sides to a record. There's the top line and the bottom line. The bottom line, let's say, is the production. It's the
And the
composition.
writing, yeah.
And the other 50% is the writing of the lyrics, yeah, and melodics, yeah, on that front. So you're entitled to the bottom line if you've only worked on the bottom line. But for example, recently I worked on a song and I co-produced it with one of my friends, but I wrote the hook. So my publishing split was more than the 25% because I was able to tap into the top line split of the song because I wrote the hook. So it's all about just knowing how the percentages of these songs break up and then knowing what you're entitled to. Like say for example, like for me personally, I like to work with live instrumental players, but and I don't tell them what to play. I let them inspire their own thing. So therefore, they've written that part, so they're entitled to their share of the publishing. I wouldn't say it's 25% because they haven't co-produced the song, but and we can negotiate a percentage from 5 upwards to like 15-20% of the publishing is all up there for negotiation. So it all depends on just your relationships with these people and just how you work it, how you work the publishing. But it's definitely good to know that you're, as a sole producer on a song, you're definitely entitled to 50% of the publishing.
Flip, what about you?
Yeah, when it comes to publishing, like advice now to producers is they should try to register as a publisher, you know, with PRS, because there are a lot of people out there that I'm sure they will have approached a lot of people signed to a publisher and all that. But things are easier now. There are a lot of platforms like PRS and all this BMI. You can join as a publisher first of all. Then it makes it easy. Then when it comes to sharing formula, sometimes the dynamics can change. Some artists won't give you the full 50-50, or they want to cheat you a little bit. I don't want to call it cheat. It's the power play that is going on there. Power play. Yeah.
Mm.
So I advise producers sometimes when you know what the numbers could be, you could be flexible. I'm just being real. You could be a little bit flexible, flexible with it. But the foundational knowledge about publishing is if you are a producer, a record producer, you didn't produce the song with any other producer, you didn't collaborate, you're entitled to 50%. Then if you can also help with the writing hook or a verse, it gets higher. But majority of people are not even aware of this. But what ties all of this down together? What do it? Words of mouth could not do. There must be a written agreement, which is split. And these days, I don't like papers. I'm trying to move anything from paper. There is this website. I think it's called splits.com. Let me quickly check. It's very, very good. Like, I don't know if any of you have a platform that you use. I think it's called Splits. Yeah, Splits. If I go to my email now, I'm going to find their notification split. Yeah, split. Yeah, split. I think it's splits.com or something. Splits.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's all you need to do is to register with them. Immediately everybody agree on a particular term. You put in the percentage. You put in the email address of the artist. Automatically, when they get the email and they respond, that means they've signed to that contract.
Right.
You understand? Then it just makes it easy. Then another thing, the business side is DistroKid. I love what they do. You can collaborate with an artist. I don't know if you use DistroKid, and they simplify that part, that business part. I like a notification just came on my phone now that sometime this morning from DistroKey that attention, that I need. Okay, action required. You have been added to a royalty split.
Mm-hmm.
So once I put in the code, automatically the 20%, 25% comes to me.
Yeah.
I believe in using technology. Music. I'm a big fan of music tech. It's something I'm working on is related to this. Having a kind of solution that can solve problem for people. So if Godwin was asking us, the member of our team. Yes, I work with a manager. I have a lawyer, but it's not on a full scale. It's not like I pay them monthly. It's based on any project like. But do you know you can employ a lot of people now through technology, through having all these platforms? You can employ so where you can have your team as a tech, as AI, yeah, artificial intelligence can be your team. So I don't know what your opinion of if you use splits.com or if you use all of these platforms.
You guys,
Okay.
I don't want to take any more of your time. You guys have been patient. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for your time. We've gotten so much valuable information, and we're going to share this on the British Council Facebook. We're going to share this on ours, and we're going to put it on YouTube so people can learn more. Thank you guys so much. Have an amazing weekend. I'll reach out to you guys personally to thank you. Thank you.